Take control of your finances. Gain insights from top industry professionals. Financial topics that matter to you from your go-to resource. This is Right on the Money with your host, Dennis Mattern.
Hey, hello, and welcome to Right on the Money, the show that features financial advisors, insurance professionals, and fiduciaries who discuss financial topics that empower you to take control of your finances. I'd like to thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Dennis Mattern. I want you to know you can always find full episodes on our YouTube channel or at rightonthemoneyshow.com. I'd like to ask you a favor. Squeeze the like button, click subscribe. That way you won't miss a single show. Now, today we're going to talk about the 5 mistakes people make when choosing a financial advisor with our special guest. Before we go over to Erik, I want to give you some statistics. In 2022, Northwestern Mutual did a study. They found that 62% of U.S. adults admit their financial planning needs improvement. However, only 35% of Americans work with financial advisors. So with that being said, we're going to talk with our good friend Erik Bowman, who's sitting right here. We're going to talk about the 5 mistakes people make when choosing a financial advisor. Now, Erik, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
You are the founder of Bowman Financial Strategies, based out of Colorado.
Right.
Kind of a worldwide empire, though.
Absolutely, global empire.
Maybe not quite global, but you're in a lot of states.
Yeah, many retirees, they start with us in Colorado, they move to other states for their final retirement phase, but the vast majority of our clients are in the South Denver metro area.
Now, those statistics that I put out there, surprise you at all?
It does not, because I think, I know we're going to talk about the fiduciary piece, but mechanically, like tactically, what happens that makes that a reality is we're managing clients' fear and greed. Mm-hmm. You know, the fear makes them want to get out of the market at the wrong time and makes them want to get into the market at the wrong time, which would be buy high, sell low. And I think that just a level head, somebody that can bring the data and experience of history of being in the markets can help them do better.
Maybe being dispassionate, because when you're close to, when it's your own money, you're too close to be able to see forest for the trees kind of thing.
That's a good one. Dispassionate approach where there's definitely emotion with an individual investor.
So you've met through the course of your career thousands of people.
I sure have.
A ton of them have become clients.
Right.
People are looking. You're looking at them to see if that makes sense for you to work with them, and they're looking at you. So I'm curious to hear your take on these when I read them to you. So these are 5 mistakes that clients that people make when choosing a financial advisor. And folks, maybe you've made these mistakes in the past. I bet people who become clients of yours made these mistakes and then they found you. Thank goodness, right? Okay. So first off, the first one that I've got here: hiring an advisor who's not a fiduciary, or not asking about their credentials, so what they bring to the table. So fiduciary, that's a term that gets used all over the place. Let's do a quick definition. So when I say fiduciary, you say?
It's a legal obligation to work in the best interest of the client. And that contrasts to a commonly held method called the suitability requirement. Mm-hmm. Many people might misinterpret suitability to equal fiduciary best interest, but they're not. There's typically going to be many more suitable recommendations than best interest recommendations. And that fiduciary relationship is really created both by the licensing and the compensation structure that I work with clients.
Well, you know, to say that back to you in the way I always have kind of always digested and understood that is, with a suitability situation, you're obligated, a person can be obligated just to look at that decision at that moment, almost like 2 roads crossing, like this right here at this time, this makes sense. But as a fiduciary, you are taking all where somebody wants to go, their dreams, their hopes, other parts of their finances all into consideration, and you have to put their needs before yours.
In addition to that, typically our relationship is for years and years, if not decades. So making a best interest recommendation now is something we're all going to be living with for decades to come. And it certainly behooves not only the advisor, but the client to ensure that that joint decision and that recommendation, when implemented, looks like it is literally going to be in that client's best interest to provide the best outcome possible in retirement.
So you have to tell clients the good and the bad, just because you're like a doctor making sure that they
it's a dispassionate look, to use that word again, at the pros and cons of whatever the recommendation is, because every recommendation has pros and cons. I keep it simple. I call it pluses and minuses. There's pluses and minuses to everything.
Absolutely.
A brokerage account, an annuity, a real estate investment trust. They all have their pros and cons. The question is, are those pros and cons, when taken together, going to provide the best interest recommendation to that client? And we want to remove the emotional component, and I like to really put the empirical piece in place when I'm doing that, and I take that long-term approach.
So in addition to the fiduciary, when you're looking out and we're talking to the general public here, credentials. When it comes to credentials, is there anything that as somebody who's looking for an advisor should be looking for when it comes to credentials or education?
I mean, I think first and foremost, going to Broker Check is a great place to look at the history of a financial advisor. Every advisor in the United States is listed out there. But I do think that the licensing surely must be appropriate for the business that's being placed or the recommendations that are being offered. I possess the Retirement Income Certified Professional, or RICP designation. That is a really good fit for my clientele because we work with pre-retirees and retirees only. Then I also have I'm a certificate holder of the National Social Security Association, a deep dive on how Social Security is calculated, the different types of strategies we may deploy for our clients. Now, those are very relevant to the client that I work with. There could be other designations for different types of clients, for sure.
I like that. We're going to talk about those and more. In fact, when we come back, we're going to take a quick break, but one of the things we're going to talk about, I would like to phrase it as, don't fall in love too quick, but really we're going to talk about the danger of hiring the first advisor you meet. You don't want to miss that. We'll see you on the other side of the break.